What's up, guys? Welcome back to Mel Builds Bosses. I am your host, Melanie Torres Dixon, and today we are here with Mariela, owner of Panda Luxxe Co. She runs luxury picnics and event decor. Hi, Mariela.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us today. So let's dive in. First question first. I would love to know a little bit of your background and how you got started in this business.
Okay, so as you mentioned, my name is Mariela. I am the founder of the Panda Luxxe Co. It's as you mentioned, a business that does luxury picnics. That's how it evolved. And now I do, themed event decor for intimate gatherings, for corporate events, grand openings, you name it, hotels, etc. A little bit about myself is, yes, I'm an event curator now. I like to say curator because I don't just go and decorate. I do like to be very intentional about my decorations and making sure that it's unique to everybody. So I sit here and I think of every little customized thing that I could do. But prior to that, believe it or not, I was a probation officer.
Oh,
Yes, so I have actually been in the law enforcement business since 2013. So many years of that, I worked in the juvenile halls, was a probation officer. I even worked, as a legal secretary for the district attorney's office. So a lot of law enforcement there here. But between that time, I wanted to make extra money. So I actually did go into the financial business, doing, the security licenses and life insurance and all of that. But my best side hustle that I loved was Ubering. So I did Uber for a while, all within still working in the law enforcement business.
oh wow. Oh, so
Yeah.
you've been a side hustler.
Yes, I have. And then eventually, I like doing, crafts. So I did have a small business, but we'll get into that.
Okay, so that's my next question for you is how did this idea come to you and what made you actually say, I can do that?
Well, the idea, I think, has always kind of just been there. Growing up, school, I was that kid in class that always went over the top with the projects. I love decorating, so if you ask me to make a book about, I don't know, the history of the United States, it's going to be embellished and it's going to have pop-out things and whatever it was. And so
Yes.
I liked going over the top. I mean, I still remember making a fort and I made, something with realistic trees and a river that looked realistic. I mean, I just loved decorating. So the idea has always been there in my home, making it always look nice. And of course, being an adult, you start having people over and gatherings. And I just liked everyone having a good time and just, feeling special. As time went by, like I mentioned, I was in law enforcement and I found myself always volunteering to decorate for the events, for anything that they had, the office, the units, working inside of the juvenile hall. I would, like to decorate the jail in there. And so I know it's a little bit odd, but I found beauty in anything. I did not,
All right.
care. But, when it actually started to just stick into my head was, I had a coworker who was always asking me, why are you working probation? You have these ideas that, you should pursue something in that. You should, do some type of decoration, something. And I did not listen to her. I'm like, no, no, no. I love this law enforcement. I want to stay here. And she pushed me for so long. And, long story short, there was many times where I should have left, the department, but I didn't. And finally, what made it a reality was I had a brain bleed in 2021. And I had to learn how to walk and talk and everything all over
Wow.
again. And
Sorry to hear that.
thank you, which I did. I recovered miraculously. Thank you to God. And
Glory be to God.
yes, and but still, I was told you have to slow down. You have to, slow it down. Don't be stressing. This is a high stress job, and I said, I won't be able to do this anymore. I'm gonna have to do something that brings me joy and find a way to make money. What better way than something that, I love doing, decorating, crafting, all of this stuff.
Right.
So, I did start with doing custom stuff, custom tumblers, shirts, signage, wedding invitations, all of that. And then it slowly evolved into, why don't I just do the whole thing from start to
Right.
finish, event decor, luxury, everything. But of course, you can't just go straight in. You have to start somewhere small, and luxury picnics was the starting point.
Fire.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is you kind of had to build this, right? It was for you, life or death.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And how did you learn about luxury picnics?
I think I may have seen it when I went to LA. I think I went to the beach somewhere in Carmel. Can't remember exactly where, and I saw somebody having like a picnic, and they had like a little umbrella. And I thought to myself, like, how cute would it be if you just like decorated it more? What if you add this? What if you add that? And I don't know. I guess it evolved from that. I had a backyard here in my house, and I kept telling my family I want to have something here, just like a little lunch, a little something. And I decorated it, and I said, "Hey, I know people would love this."
Yes. Yes.
And then I did have family members say, "I want this for me," and then they kept telling their significant others, "Hey, why don't you do something like this for me?" So, yeah.
So what did getting started actually look like for you? Like how much did you spend, if you can remember, before you got your first booking?
Okay, so as I mentioned before, I did have to start doing this ahead of time. So since 2021, I knew I was going to have to start building this. So I stocked up on props, on stuff that I knew was going to be unique to my business. So I want to say thousands, but I did not need to do that. It's just
Okay.
I had my job, and I was going to stay at that job as long as I could. But in the meantime, I said, let me build what could be my business now, slowly, so it
Smart.
doesn't feel like a significant, investment. And so I built through time. So it might have been thousands of dollars. I do have like unique little things that I find here and there, but specifically just for the luxury picnics, to make that happen, I would say $500 was good to get my table, to get the nice umbrella, to get the tablescapes, the platings, fabrics, etc. Mind you, stuff that was going to look nice and that I could reuse often.
Okay. Cool. So how did you get your first client?
I actually posted my pictures of luxury picnics that I had done in the past for friends, family, on Facebook Market. And somebody actually reached out to me and said, "Are you able to do a luxury picnic, but say in a hotel?" And I said, "Yes, absolutely. I mean, I've seen hotel decorations, and I was probably going to do that, but then I've seen picnics separately. So putting them all together," and I said, "Yes, whatever it is that you want, we can make a theme, we'll do it."
Period.
So it started with that, and then eventually most of my clients started coming through Facebook Marketplace. So don't underestimate Facebook Marketplace, and just make sure to have really good pictures.
I 100% agree. I'm in the party rental space right now, and there's so many people who are marketing themselves through Facebook Marketplace, and it's free, right? People don't realize
Yes.
that part.
Yes.
Okay, so what does a luxury picnic setup actually look like, and what do you typically charge for it?
Okay, so I'm in the Central Valley area, so the price is a little bit, probably less than most people are charging here in California, I think. But they start off at 280. But my picnics include, your table, your seating, a lot of pillows, the tablescape. So you have your plates, your napkins, your glassware, everything thoroughly decorated, shade, Bluetooth, games. And most importantly, I like to include like a charcuterie board or some type of sweet pastry, and the option of having hot chocolate for that sweet pastry or coffee setup. So it's all there ready for you to just sit there and enjoy. But guests are welcome to bring their own food as well.
That's awesome because you really thought through the experience, right?
Yes, and so I also include, make sure have music and, if they're able to connect. So I just want them to be able to sit there and have fun. But most importantly, I think with all of my decorations is making sure that they are curated not just for them to sit there and be like, wow, this is beautiful, this is an experience, but for them to be able to take photos and be able to have something to remember. But yeah, that's the basic picnic. But man, I have so many add-ons. I mean, I have movie nights, projector. You can do with your popcorn machine. You can make it themed for game night, Mario Kart. I mean, I have everything that you could possibly, probably add on. Paint night is my most requested one. I set up with paints, with water, everything you could possibly need to just sit there and relax and have a good time. So, yeah.
Do you include, like, with your package, a Bluetooth speaker there so that they can listen to the music?
Yes, correct.
Very, very cool. All right.
And
yeah,
actually, really cool thing I just found, probably maybe have seen it on TikTok, but it's a induction speaker, which I think was great. So now clients don't have to connect to a Bluetooth. They can just put their phone on there and it's good to go, like a speaker.
That's fire. So what would you say your cheapest package is and your most expensive package is?
So for the luxury picnic, the base, like I said, is $280, so it can stay at $280. And I've had
Very affordable.
Excuse me?
It's very affordable.
Yes, it is. And for the luxury picnics specifically, I've had anywhere up to an $800 one. I mean, but that was elaborate. A lot of different details went into that. It includes, a whole tent shading, projectors, they want everything. Actually, it could probably go up to 1,000 if they want to add everything that I could possibly have. But
right.
You'll get a whole experience, including an igloo. I have an igloo. They can sit there and just gaze at the stars, and it looks like their own little suite.
That's fire, because what I'm hearing is that you were able to add on a bunch of add-ons, right? So you're able to upsell a client, so they can come in looking at your base package. But then when they go see your social media and they see other picnics that you've done, they might wait, hey, I want that as well. I want this as well. And so essentially it's upselling, right?
Yes, it is. And I think it's important to be able to add a bunch of things to your business, because then your business starts evolving with that, People started seeing like, hey, you're able to do this, you're able to do that. Can you do that at, say, my cafe? Are you able to do that at my grand opening? Are you able to do that for, my child's first birthday? And I said, whatever you need, let's do it. And then you start offering more things.
Awesome. Another thing I heard you say was, they love taking the pictures, right? So essentially, yes, you're taking the pictures of your setup, but also happy clients are taking pictures and tagging you, and that's free marketing, right?
Yes, it is.
Absolutely. Yes. So how long did it take you before you felt like this was a full-on business and no longer just a side hustle?
So as I previously mentioned, I've been working to leave probably, my job whenever I had to. That time finally came. I was no longer able to work full time, and I said, hey, I think it's time. I'm ready. I can do this, even if it's just part time. So it just became a reality when I no longer could work full time. And so I said, I have to make this happen, It will be a full-on business, not just a side hustle.
And you and I have spoken a little bit, and your business has evolved significantly past just luxury picnics. Tell our audience, what else has it evolved to when you were able to scale it?
So now it has evolved to, corporate events where I do grand openings. I decorate, different restaurants so that they have themed nights for guests to come in. It's evolved into decorating hotels for honeymoons, for proposals, for anniversaries. It's also evolved into I don't want to say for like birthday parties, but because it's not just going to do decoration, but making it intimate gatherings, like gatherings of 20 people or less. But with that, I said I do want to tap into the bigger parties, right? So what better way than to do photo op areas? One of the things
Smart.
that I like doing, like I mentioned before, is making sure that people have something to take a photo of and post on their social media. So they're like, look, this is the experience that I have.
So
This is
smart.
what I'm doing. So I said, if I do not have the means right now to do a 300, 500 guest, what about the photo op area? So I do now do photo op areas where somebody says, hey, I'm doing a party of, I don't know, let's say Super Mario Bros. I don't know, I couldn't come up with anything. I will say, hey, I can do a photo op area. So then when your guests walk in, they are able to take the picture and then enjoy the party and do whatever it is that they need. And I will make it as realistic as possible. And I think you've seen my Instagram where one of the themes was, I think, Stranger Things, and I made it seem like they were in the buyer's house. Like it was super realistic. So that's what I tried to focus on.
You are definitely an artist. I saw your page and I was in love. I was like, this is so cool. I think I saw like the igloo and I saw like teenagers hanging out in there watching like a movie night. I
Oh
was
yeah,
like, this
yeah.
is so fire. Like I have a teenage son and I'm like, this would be something so cool to do in our backyard. So I really do enjoy your page.
Thank
So
you.
Mariela, what does a good month look like to you?
So a good month, I will have, let's say, 4 bookings, just because I don't want to overexert myself. I don't want to stress myself out. So let's say a good month for me without making it difficult on myself, I could probably have revenue about 2,500, 3,000, and that's just with 4 bookings.
That's good. That's
Yes.
solid.
Yes.
Awesome. And how much time goes into every event from like startup to breakdown and everything?
So it can be anywhere from 4 hours to 6 hours, but if you include all of the back end work, I mean, it could be probably, 16 hours. Just depends, like I said, how elaborate it is. For a luxury picnic, I do a customized welcome sign, etc. That could take me about an hour to do, and then the actual setup for that could be 2 hours, or maybe just an hour, depending on how elaborate it is. But if I do like a photo op area or an immersive experience, that does take, several hours or days to prepare beforehand, and the actual setup could take 4 hours to 6 hours. So it just
Okay.
depends how specifically detailed it is.
Okay. And so when you host these events, are you staying during the event or are you coming back to do the breakdown?
So I actually do go back for the breakdown. I like to give people their privacy and just enjoy. If it's far away, I do stay in the area. I go out
Right,
and
right.
have dinner, something different or anything. But yeah, I like to give them their privacy. Although I have hosted events where I had one, I actually will be posting it soon. It was called Petals and Paint, where I basically put it out there and I said, hey, I'm having a little event where I'm having games, paint night, a flower bar, food, drinks, etc. And you're welcome to come. And the goal is that I will eventually start selling tickets for these events where you buy your ticket and you go, you have your experience. For this particular one, it was like a trial run. I was able to collaborate with other vendors, and one vendor brought the drinks, one vendor brought the charcuterie board, the pastries. They were lovely people, and I actually had a photographer who
Fire.
videotaped everything, and photographed everything. And for that event, I did stay there because I was essentially the host and I was doing all of that. But that's something separate.
It's so funny you mentioned that because we're building a Nerf battle business right now. And
Yes.
for the summer, it's like we're in South Florida. So this is like perfect time. And we're in summer camps and we're at schools and aftercare programs. But you and I haven't even discussed this, but ironically, we are trying to do something very similar, like pop-ups in different parks around Palm Beach County, simply because parents are always looking for something fun for the kids.
Yes.
And versus making them pay, for us to throw a party, we're doing like you could pay per kid, right?
Yes.
And so now it's a little bit more affordable. People can pop up. Parents are like, stress-free. So I don't know if I believe in irony. I believe more in divine order, but the irony that we're both doing the same thing in very different niches, right?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. That it's I definitely agree with that. It's much more affordable for people, especially right now. The economy is not doing very well. So you kind of have to think outside of the box, and see what else you can do so that you don't sit there and think, oh, it's just not working out for me. It's not working out right now. Like, no, there's a way to pivot. There's a way to do things.
Ding, ding, ding. And that's what I want people to start thinking about, right? That's why I started highlighting side hustles, right? Because a lot of us have our cushy careers. Like you mentioned, you started buying things while you were still in your career. But nobody ever expects the rug to get taken out from underneath them, right? And so it's like build one before you need one. And as well, it's kind of like, oh my God, nobody, wants to purchase my business or what I'm selling, or nobody could afford it. Okay, so pivot or think outside the box. What are other ways to bring in revenue? Because it's still a great idea. If you've sold it to one or two people, that means that there is demand,
Yes.
right? You've already validated the demand. So now you're like, all right, how do I make it more affordable without taking away from my bottom line?
Yes.
Right?
And I think it's also important to, like you mentioned, there's how can I make this something different? How can I make money off of this? I started, with making custom tumblers and shirts, etc., like I mentioned, and I said, well, why don't I take that talent that I have with making custom things and making it into this event decoration that I want to do? Well, that they have nothing to do with each other. Actually, yes, they do. You can make custom things for this event decoration. And just because one business didn't work out doesn't mean that it won't flow into another business idea that you may have and actually make it even better. And that just might be your stepping stone. So always just keep evolving.
Amen to that. I could have not said it any better. Absolutely. So what would you say has been the hardest part of this business?
I think the hardest part of this business was just standing firm on my prices. I think that I'm already very affordable with my prices, and I'm a very, very nice person. I like to help people out. So just staying firm on my prices, and that knowing my value of my work. I know that not everybody can afford, the services that I have, or other things come up, but essentially I cannot I can't do things for free, and it's very difficult to say no. And I guess that's been the most difficult part of this journey is I want to do everything and every idea, and yes, I want to say yes to everybody, but I also am not rich. So
Right.
I can't do everything.
Still a business. Right. You're still offering a service. And it's funny you say that because women, we tend to be the ones who have a harder time saying no. Right. And a big part of my audience is women. And so this is not something that is just a you problem. It's us. Like we want to serve, we want to give back, but we still need to bring in income. This is still a business. We still need revenue. Right.
Yeah.
So I hear you loud and clear, girl. We also have a Christmas lighting business, and that's a luxury item. Right. So if people can't afford your services, right, I think you're priced very affordable as well. And as a business coach, I'd probably say raise your prices. But kidding, but you know what I mean? So, but if they can't afford it, then it's not for them. And that's not to be mean. It's just the reality, right? You are offering a luxury picnic service, right? We offer Christmas lighting installation. We're not going and buying the lights from Home Depot. We are ordering it from a professional contractor. And so we target people who could afford our services. And that is just the name of the game of being in business.
Okay.
All right. So that's the perfect segue into the next question for you. And it is, what do people always get wrong or misunderstand about your business?
I think what a lot of people get wrong and has been difficult for me to explain, especially in the area that I am in the Central Valley, is that it's not just, oh, you're just putting down a blanket and a table and some plates and that's it. Like, I can do that. I'm like, okay, yeah, of course, anybody can do it. But there's a lot that goes into the styling that I do to make sure that it looks like a beautiful experience, that it's luxury, and that, you know, there's a lot of labor intensive, work that goes into that, hauling the stuff and, storing it and then picking up and cleaning. I mean, it's not just, oh, I'll just do this. I think it's been difficult to explain that what you're paying for is not just the detailed decoration, but the experience. Like, you are going to have a good time. You are going to have something to remember. And yeah, I think a lot of people just think that you're just putting 2-3 things together and you're done. But no, a lot of work goes into this, a lot of prepping, a lot of me sitting here with different ideas and probably not eating because I'm just like, what? Oh, it's been 3 hours and I've been sitting here just thinking of ideas.
I hear you, girl. And they don't see the other part, right? Like, it is hard labor. You are transporting the tables and the carpet or the rugs and all that stuff. Like, you do put a lot of labor behind it, right?
Especially here in the Central Valley, it is very hot.
Yeah,
So,
I'm in South Florida, girl. I get it. I get it.
yeah, it's a lot. And not only that, but there is some things I cannot do by myself. So I
Right.
do have to ask help. So not only is it paying for me and my stuff, but my health.
Right.
There's some events, some things that I can't do by myself. Yes, the luxury picnics I can do myself, and a lot of the things you could, but it's gonna take a longer time.
For sure. I agree. So what is one thing that you wish you knew before you started this business?
Perfect piggyback from my last answer is I wish I would have built a list early on of people who can support me should I need help with anything that you need last minute. Not only for work or for the labor to go and decorate or to haul things or to store things, or not just for that, but emotional support, because
I feel you.
tries to put you down. It's difficult, but just to remind you, your work is valuable, and you do not need validation from other people to see it. You know it. And the right clients are going to find you. You do not need to lower your prices. You do not need to be, going back and forth with somebody who is making it difficult for you. No, your clients will find you, and
Right.
your work is worth it. Do not give up just because it didn't work, the first week, the first month, the first 3 months.
Girl, you are preaching. No, for real, you can keep going, because I try to tell people this all the time. Like, people think like a no is going to like end the world, and you're like, girl, it's one no.
Yes, one no, and every no leads to a yes.
Amen.
When I was in financial business, they always said, for every 10 no's, you will get a yes. So try
Yep.
to do that math.
Amen. I was just telling people this. There's a book called Go for No, and it's essentially the exact same concept. It's like, you don't crumble at the hearing a no, right?
Yes,
And
but also
so,
be prepared for when all the yeses do come.
right, right. It's
Because
like an avalanche.
yes, there was one month I did not sleep, I think, for 36 hours straight, and I said, well, I can't do that to myself, but again, I couldn't say no, and I wanted to do it. It was a great opportunity. So, but just be prepared. Just because there's several no's doesn't mean that the yeses are not coming, and they may be coming in a flood. So
You're a tough cookie. You come from the probation world anyways. So I know you can handle it. Mariela, where can people find you and book with you?
So I am on Instagram at the Panda Luxxe Co. All just one word, no space, no dots. I am currently building my website so people can book through there. But in the meantime, you can direct message me on Instagram, and we go from there with the booking.
Awesome. Mariela, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for all this really valuable information. You have no idea how many people have reached out to me on the luxury picnic side hustle that I highlighted. And so I will make sure that I send people your way. And I will also make sure that I drop your Instagram handle in the comments. Thank you
Thank you
again for
so
your
much.
time.
I
Have a good
appreciate
one.
you having me.
No problem. Have a good one.
Thank you.